The main thing that we had always heard about Chris was he's an underwear model, he acts in soap operas, and he loves riding motorcycles. So Warfighter Made has a lot of experience building motorcycles for catastrophically wounded warfighters. So when people were saying that Chris, as a double leg amputee, is an avid motorcycle rider, we were all about it.
Well, I'm from a military family. You know, I have two younger brothers too, and we got real close because of the moving. I was always outside though, climbing trees or finding something to get dirty in or anything with two wheels back then. I actually got in trouble in high school because I took a dirt bike out to the school by our house. I was just riding around the dirt trail and I got grounded for 6 months because of that. It was worth it though, still worth it. I think most of my life I knew I wanted to go into the military. I definitely got it from my parents because they were both very proud of what they did. Like, they were both aircraft mechanics, very passionate about the fact that they were in the Air Force and serving their country, and just the way that they held themselves. I knew it was something to be proud of. My dad was a little resistant on me joining the Marines and joining the infantry, but yeah, my mom, she never tried to tell me no. She was like, this is your life. I just want you to do what makes you happy. My MOS was 0311, which is regular infantry, but I was also a dog handler. I helped sniff the IEDs. My second deployment was to Afghanistan. Our goal at the time was to help train the Afghan National Army to basically be able to take over after we left. We were out in this country that we'd never been to, doing a job we'd been training for years for, with buddies that you'd spent literally every waking second of your life with. It's simple in the fact that it's almost primitive in the sense that, like, you're worrying about surviving. And it always has to be on the forefront of your mind, because the moment it's not, that's when the bad things happen. Every time we would leave the wire, because we were always dismounted, we were always walking on foot. And so we would always joke like, hey, kiss your legs goodbye, because today's the last day you're gonna use them. I don't know, it's a way for us to accept the fact that it could happen. Looking back, things did feel off. Just hit a little past midnight and we were actually gonna come in early that night. And so we were packing up, and then all of a sudden from my right-hand side I could hear, I just heard a loud boom, the first explosion that went off. And my buddy Brad, he had set off the first one. And so as soon as we heard that, you know, the medical team went up with the corpsman to go take care of Brad, and I helped set up the LZ. Well, when we were finished, my buddy TJ, he yelled over that we needed another body, so that's when I ran over to go help. Me and him set out the litter, and as we laid it down, I went to step on top of it to help pull Brad onto it, and that's when I hit the second one. I remember getting tossed in the air. It felt like I was doing somersaults, but I think I probably only flipped once or twice. I couldn't move my legs, but they still felt like they were there. So I thought I was paralyzed. And then I looked down, and that's when I saw that they were gone. That's when I had seen TJ for the first time. I don't want to, you know, I'm not going to get into too many details, but it became pretty apparent that he wasn't doing too hot. He was a good man, and he was a good Marine. I think those questions on whether or not you're going to walk, what your life is going to be like, that goes through everybody's mind when they lose their limbs. But the biggest part was the mental aspect of, I had essentially lost my identity. In that explosion, in the blink of an eye, I went from being a warfighter to being a cripple. I was never going to be the same person again. I didn't think anybody would ever want to be with a double amputee. And so I struggled with that. I struggled with, you know, TJ's death, learning how to deal with that without resorting to drinking or drug abuse. That kind of seems like the go-to, is the temporary means of relief. My mom actually, when I was a freshman in high school, she got breast cancer. I mean, anybody who's seen someone go through cancer knows how debilitating that can be. But she not only got through it, but when she came out of it, she had this love for life that I'd never seen before. And so just watching that, knowing that part of me was that woman, I knew if she could beat that, then there's no reason why I couldn't get through this either.
When Chris and I started dating, she told me that now, because I was in Chris's life, she didn't have to worry anymore. And that meant a lot because she is his whole world. You know, she passed away last November, and it's been really hard. But me and Chris say that we try to live each day like she would.
Me and my dad talk about it all the time, but the very first night that I spent at San Diego in the hospital, me and him were actually looking at different mods to put on motorcycles to try to ride. So I was very set on getting back on two wheels no matter what. I had a lot that I was carrying on my shoulders, and I mean, anybody who's into riding will tell you that it's the best therapy that you can ever have.
It's the only thing that he could do before he got injured that he can do now.
After 10 minutes, it was like everything that had been weighing me down was off my shoulders for the first time. That's a moment I won't ever forget.
It's the beginning, middle, and end to everything that he really needs. 5 weeks before our wedding, a car pulled out in front of him and he basically T-boned it because he couldn't stop. He busted his hand, he broke his thumb, had to get 2 pins placed. As soon as we got home, he's like, well, what am I gonna do about my motorcycle?
I've been putting off getting one just because everything that was happening. Hey, you wanna draw with your chalk? We'd gotten married, we were having a kid, we were having to get in a house. And so it didn't seem like the right time to get one. I have one that I'm doing up, but it's in pieces, so.
He watches motorcycle videos all day, researches motorcycles all day, where I have to be like, all right, let's take a 10-minute break from motorcycles. It's like having 2 kids.
I reached out to Chris's wife, Sam, and said, hey, I don't care what you gotta do, put off him getting a new motorcycle. Tell him you never want him to ride again because you're worried about him. I don't care what you tell him. Just give us time to get this bike done.
I was like, okay, I will cling to any type of plan that you have. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just his way of life. And there's a key component that's missing from his life right now.
What's up, my friends? It is Rob and Danny from Warfighter Made, and in our shop right now is the motorcycle that we're getting ready to donate to a deserving combat wounded double leg amputee veteran. This Saturday, 11 to 1, it's open to everybody. Come and join us. On behalf of everybody that's out here right now, all the veterans, all the patriots, and your Warfighter Made family, happy Alive Day, brother. It's our understanding that Chris and his dad and his brother want to do a ride that they had been planning with Chris's mom, where Chris's mom basically grew up. So I guess they've been, talking about doing that ride anyways and taking Chris's mom's ashes there. Do it! He's on top of that iron horse, just cruising, watching, out of his peripheral vision, the world go by without really a care. And, if the thoughts start to become too much, you can twist that throttle just a little bit harder and, try and leave those thoughts or those negative feelings behind. Being able to surprise men and women that have given so much to us and our freedoms and our general way of life, it really is my passion now.